Welcome to this presentation brought to you in the form of an audiobook. As you listen, you will find captions accompanying the narration to help you better connect with and understand the depth of the insights shared. This format is designed to create a space for reflection and contemplation, where you can immerse yourself in each thought, pause where necessary, and allow the words to resonate on a deeper level. Have you ever felt like the deeper you think, the more isolated you become? That the more you understand, the less people want to listen? It's not just in your head. Society has always feared deep thinkers, not because they're wrong, but because they see what others don't want to. History proves this. From Socrates to Nietzsche, from Galileo to Tesla, brilliant minds have been ridiculed, silenced, or ignored. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because they made people uncomfortable. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of history's most brutally honest philosophers, believed intelligence itself was a curse, one that isolates those who see the world too clearly. But why does this happen? Why does society resist those who think differently? The answer lies deep in human psychology. Think about this. When you stand next to someone physically strong, you might admire their strength. If you meet someone wealthy, you might envy them, but you don't feel personally attacked. But when you encounter someone intellectually superior, something strange happens. Psychologists call it the mirror effect. A deep thinker doesn't just introduce new ideas, they reflect the limitations of those around them. And people don't easily forgive that. Even if a deep thinker says nothing, their very presence can make others feel inadequate. But why? Why does intelligence, more than any other form of superiority, provoke such discomfort? The reason lies in how we process different forms of comparison. Physical strength, we associate it with protection or leadership. Wealth, it's something people aspire to. These are external attributes. They don't challenge how we see ourselves at the core. But intelligence, that's different. Our identity is shaped by our thoughts, beliefs, and understanding of the world. When someone comes along who sees deeper, who questions what we've always taken for granted, it can feel like a direct attack on our very sense of self. So instead of admiration, deep thinkers often face resistance, not because they are arrogant or dismissive, but because their presence forces others to confront their own limitations. Throughout history, deep thinkers have been pushed to the fringes of society, not because they wanted to be alone, but because society pushed them away. And today, this phenomenon continues. Studies show that in social settings, confidence is often valued more than intelligence. People are naturally drawn to those who project certainty, even if their ideas are shallow. That's why charismatic, simplistic thinkers often gain more influence than those who speak with nuance and depth. It's why populist leaders, motivational speakers, and viral influencers thrive by telling people what they want to hear, while those who question popular beliefs struggle to find a broad audience. This is the paradox of intelligence. The more someone seeks truth, the more they risk being disconnected from the majority. But is there any scientific proof that people actually fear intelligence? Yes. Modern neuroscience confirms it. When people feel intellectually inferior, their amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, becomes active. In other words, intellectual discomfort triggers a fear response, the same part of the brain that activates when we face danger. But why does this happen? Because for most of human history, survival didn't depend on being the smartest person. It depended on being accepted by the group. Tribes thrived on harmony, not dissent. Being rejected meant vulnerability, possibly even death. This is why our brains are wired to favor social acceptance over intellectual pursuit. When a deep thinker enters a room, they may unknowingly disrupt this tribal balance. Their presence challenges the status quo, triggers defense mechanisms, and causes others to feel threatened, not by what's said, but by what's revealed. A 2021 Stanford study found something even more telling. When people interact with a deep thinker one-on-one, they feel less threatened. But in group settings, the threat response spikes. Why? Because in groups, social status becomes more important. People don't just compare themselves to the deep thinker, they compare how others might see them in that light. To protect their status, they may mock, dismiss, or exclude the deep thinker altogether. This is why intellectuals often find fulfilling conversations in private, but struggle to connect in large groups. Cognitive biases explain this further. Dunning-Kruger effect. People with low ability overestimate their intelligence, while highly intelligent individuals tend to doubt themselves. This creates conflict. Status quo bias. People prefer familiar ideas, even if they're flawed, because new ideas cause discomfort. Backfire effect. When confronted with facts that challenge their beliefs, people often become more entrenched, not less. In today's digital world, these biases are amplified. Social media algorithms reward engagement, not depth. Emotionally charged or simplistic content spreads faster than nuanced arguments. Viral content is brief, bold, and easy to digest. Deep thought takes time, and time is a luxury online platforms don't offer. The result? Society increasingly values entertainment over enlightenment. And that's not all. The rejection of deep thinking starts early, in school, at work, and in politics. Schools often reward obedience and memorization over curiosity and critical thinking. Workplaces favor cultural conformity over disruptive innovation. Politics rewards emotional appeal over reasoned debate. We celebrate intellectuals after their ideas become mainstream, but not before. Galileo, Nietzsche, Tesla, Turing, they were all rejected in their time. Only later did society recognize their genius. Society doesn't fear intelligence. It fears what intelligence reveals. So what should deep thinkers do? Not give up, but navigate wisely. Save your deepest insights for those who are ready to hear them. Seek like-minded individuals in books, online, or in quiet corners of the world, and learn to express complex ideas in simple, clear ways. As Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that the smarter a person is, the harder it becomes to connect with others. Because intelligence brings clarity, and with clarity comes discomfort. He argued that most people live driven by the will to survive, while deep thinkers are driven by the will to truth. Where others seek comfort, they seek meaning, even if it brings pain. That's the burden of awareness. But Schopenhauer also believed that solitude is a gift, not a punishment. He urged deep thinkers to embrace time alone for creativity and introspection, rather than seeking validation from the masses. He wrote, "A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial." And maybe that's true. Maybe the more we see, the harder it is to ignore. Maybe the more we understand, the lonelier we feel. But remember, you are not broken. You are simply seeing the world more clearly than most. And while society may not always celebrate deep thinkers in the present, it's those very minds that shape the future. If you've ever felt isolated by your thoughts, you're not alone, and you never were.